All right, guys, we're here. Episode one of the Elevated and Chill podcast.
We back, we
My,
back.
yeah, we are really back. Um, I'm here. I'm CJ. I'm the host, along with my co-host Dougie Fresh. What's going on, Dougie? How's everything?
Dude,
What's
it's been
going
a
on?
minute, bro, but I'm excited. It's a good day. I'm hyped up. Dougie Fresh here, ready for another round of Elevated and Chill, bro. Like it's so fucking awesome to be back in this platform, to be back here just talking with you, shooting the shit, enjoying our
Hmm.
time and getting back into the swing of things. Like it felt like a minute, but we're
It,
here, like this fatherhood thing, bro, is like wild. The last time we spoke,
so I was gonna ask
um
you. Yeah, it's
the
been a
last time we were on and recording, Dylan was
you were
just here.
moving.
We were
Dylan
moving.
was
Dylan
Dylan was
just
on the
came.
arrival.
Yep,
She was on the arrival.
and now she's about to be 4 months, dude. On
She's getting big.
Thursday.
She's
It's just
getting
like
really big.
wild how
Yeah.
fast things are going. It's the most amazing thing in the world, but it's like the hardest as well because like you want everything to be perfect. You want to do everything you can for this little tiny human. Like I never thought I would stare at another human more in my life than I have, and it's just been a fun journey. There's so much exciting stuff like her waking
Mm-hmm.
up and like her eyes are glowing and she's
Going,
making
yeah.
noises and she's just like having so much fun. And Jan is doing great. Everybody is doing great. So like we're really feeling really good. So good family update as well as just like now the
How's the
apartment
mental
feels good. Like the everything is like really coming together
flowing together?
after
Yeah.
being here. 4.5 months now. It's just like kind of crazy to think about. It just feels right. Like and then the work is good, all that, and then just trying to keep the mentals good. Like
Yeah.
it's always an up and down, like
Journey.
ebb and flow of everything because there's just
Yeah.
like so much always going on, and then behind the scenes, and just trying to work through all that and feel really good about things. And that's what we have this platform for, right? Like have an
Exactly.
open
Safe space. Yep.
conversation, safe space, feel good about it, come to together and just chat about things. What about you, man? How's everything been?
Oh man. I mean, no substantial things like that in terms of moving, baby on the way and stuff like that. But I just kind of been focused on myself. I've been hitting the gym consistently. So that's been kind of a great thing to kind of get back into. I'm down 15 pounds from December.
That's
So
what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking
uh,
about. Straight
work
shredded.
it. Yeah, work is work. You know what I mean? Just dealing with that. But yeah, just constantly thinking about ways to get better. Obviously, we with this as well with the pod, that's been on my mind. So just consistently trying to get better. I think the question I have for you though, before we get into the agenda and what we're going to talk about, what is your advice being a newly father? What's your advice for the home team about fatherhood?
Uh, I think the best piece of advice, like everybody says, like try to sleep when your child sleeps. I can't do that. Like my child sleeps, I want to be able to get shit done. I'm doing laundry, I'm
Yeah.
making food, I'm meal prepping, whatever it is. I think the biggest thing, and the most impactful advice that I've heard, and that I would give anybody else, is that you are your own parent, right? Like
Mm,
parenting is it's just a concept of all these different mechanisms that come together to support this one individual and this one human, right? And nothing is planned out perfectly. Nothing has to be done to the T, right? Everybody parents differently. Everybody does things differently. Looks at their child in a different way. Like maybe she's more advanced in this way over this, or maybe she's been more attentive here over there, and it feels like there's always like this like ebb and flow of like trying to put her on a pedestal or like seeing where she's gonna like what milestone she's gonna reach before she reaches them. And it's all about just like enjoying the journey, like taking a step back, looking at everything and just like having fun with her because like every day she's growing, she's doing something new, right? And being a parent is not just straight, this is what you do, this is how it works, and this is the end result, right? Like everything is trial
Hmm.
and error. Kids are always different. They might
Yes,
like
different.
something over
Yeah,
not like something. One thing I know for sure is she is a creature of habit. Like she likes to do her things, right? She likes to eat at a certain
consistently,
time. She likes
routine.
to, yep, the routine. That was one big thing as well that Ayana and I tried to bake into like our lives more, was like how can we get into a routine and hit the right steps like each day to make her feel, comfortable and good. And um yeah, I would say that that would be my biggest advice. Like for anybody that is going to be a new parent or is on the horizon and thinking about having a child, is go into it knowing that you're not going to be perfect. Everything is not going to always work out the way that you want it to, but that if you do the best you can, you try the best you can, you will always make an impact, and your child will see that. And you'll do right by them. A lot of it is nature, and then there's a lot of nurture, right? Like you're
Yep.
biologically, you know what you need to do to take care of someone, right? But then there's always like this other piece of it where you're trying to make sure they're growing up in a safe and good and a loving environment, and that there's all these other factors, right? And it just seems like there's a lot that goes into it. But at the
Hmm.
end of the day, you can be the best parent that you can be by just setting the ground rules and knowing that being a parent and parenting does not have its own right path or wrong path. It's just about being there and doing the things that you need to do for your child. So that
Yeah,
is
for sure.
my that is my like TED talk. I don't want to dive into it too much because I probably could talk about Dylan for the whole
For
episode.
yeah, for the whole episode. I just want to piggyback off of that. I'm not a dad, but I am an uncle who's raising my niece and nephew. And you're absolutely right with the whole, the kids are different. They react to this certain different things differently. So it's kind of, I call it having a personal relationship with, you only have one, but eventually, maybe down the road, you might have another. Um, Learning those kids individually on an individual basis and having those individual relationships, and again instilling like a routine. So I co-sign all
Yeah.
those things. That's a great piece of advice for any upcoming fathers or mothers coming up in the world regarding parenthood. Home team, if you have any advice on
Please.
parenthood, put it in the comments. We would love to hear your feedback. Which, speaking about love for children and all that stuff, we have another love, which is basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Let's first get into the NFL. I'm clearly sorry. We'll get into the NBA later on. The NFL, we just last week had the Super Bowl.
Yes.
What was your thoughts on the Super Bowl? And just how the game went and the halftime show. All your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, dude, first off, great season. Hats off to both the Eagles and the Chiefs. They had wonderful seasons, both of them. The coaches were great. The players were great. Saquon hitting all those records, which nobody thought he was going to do coming into his first year with the Eagles. The Chiefs are always the Chiefs. They find ways to win. It's
When
just like it was a really good season and it went fast. Like, and as a Jets fan, there's a bright future. We got a new head coach. We're kicking Aaron Rodgers to the curb. Like there's a
yeah,
couple. I have no idea what we're gonna do about having a quarterback or what the season will look like next year. But hey, I have all the faith that they'll do right by these new coaches and new GMs. But when it comes to the actual Super Bowl itself, I was very disappointed. Very disappointed.
mm,
I think the game was not competitive at all. The Eagles
yeah,
wiped the floor with them. They made them look like a joke, being they were 15-2, and they were the best team on the road too. I think that they had the best road
yeah,
record as well
hmm,
throughout the whole season. So it's like how you being the Chiefs and always coming in and playing dominant, they look terrible. Their offensive line looked bad. Nobody was blocking. There's multiple videos of Travis Kelce just letting Mahomes get wrecked by people and laid out. Like, I don't know what happened. And kudos to Andy Reid. He's one of the best coaches in NFL history. But like, dude, you made no adjustments. He made
Mm.
no adjustments at all. You went into halftime down 24 to nothing and made not one adjustment coming out. And then it was all
Yeah,
like padding the stats at the end, right? Like so that the game didn't feel like you got destroyed, but you lost by 20 and they were up 40 to like 6 at one point. Like, it was just like, and then all of a sudden they got 2 touchdowns within like 2 minutes, and it felt like the Chiefs, right? It felt like there was a this weirdness of going on around like the Super Bowl when it was Tom Brady and the Patriots versus the Falcons, and then all of a sudden they come back and they win. There was like that moment for a second, and then you looked at the clock and you're like, oh, there's only 4 minutes left. Like, there's no
yeah.
way that they're going to be able to make this run the way that they wanted to. They needed to score in the it obviously in the first half, but if not, they had to score immediately on that first
The
drive that
second
they
half, yeah.
in the second half, and I was a little upset with that. I think from a halftime show perspective, and then I'll let you hammer into and I'll pass you the baton. But from a halftime show, I think it was really good. Like a lot of people don't know Kendrick Lamar. They do, but they don't know like his the deep soul of his music and like what he represents
Trying to communicate, yeah.
and how he's like trying to communicate more. And I think that that was
The
one thing
discrepancy.
one thing that I was actually happy about, right, was he did a really good job telling a story that he wanted to go out there and like you knew what he was trying to portray in all of his music. I don't
Yeah.
think that that really happened in many like past like halftime shows. Like a lot of it was always just like the focus on the music and less on the people. I felt like it was a lot
Yeah.
more on the people
Hmm.
with a a tap into the music. But what did you think? What were your thoughts about the game
Uh
and
the
Kendrick's
Super
like
Bowl, yeah,
message?
The Super Bowl, the game itself. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think it was a lopsided game. I think the Chiefs, for being a road dominant team, they didn't come out and play the way they were supposed to. The offensive line looked completely terrible. And I was saying this the whole game. Jalen Hurts was just in that pocket for too long. He
Mm-hmm.
literally could have. He had a whole gourmet meal in that pocket. He could have. He was having an appetizer. He was having a meal, and then he had dessert in that pocket.
And they
The
kept
defense.
rushing four. Like I don't know if it's Spags, right? Is one of the
Yeah,
best
Spags. Yeah,
defensive coordinators, and they just kept rushing four. Like it didn't make sense to me that they weren't
to
trying to mix
to
up
fix it.
any of the line. Like they didn't want to take advantage of what they're good at, which is having Chris Jones plow in there and then have all these like safety or corner like blitzes happen. They didn't really do any of that. Like
Well, the thing is, the thing too is that they I think they were more concerned about Saquon, like not getting lit up the way Saquon usually was playing in the playoffs. I
which
think
they stopped him. That their run defense
they
was great.
well they stopped him, but the thing is that that's all they did.
Yeah,
Th- Other than that, I mean, they were just getting killed. The receivers, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, they were literally killing us on the passing on the receiving end. Yeah, I mean, there was just no adjustments going into the second half. I thought maybe we got some type of momentum. Andy Reid or Spags would have lit up the locker room, but it seems like the morale there was just completely shut down.
and
So
they needed something special from like their defense or
they
like a
needed
kick
something,
return or something
something.
because the
Yeah.
offense was not hitting on all cylinders at
Yeah.
all.
I think Pat, Pat didn't really, I shouldn't say really, he didn't have a great game as well. So I think overall going into next season, they need to figure that out, and see, like, listen, like, kind of look at their team and fix those holes that they had in the Super Bowl and move on. I mean, that's like the best thing you can do is just move on. It's a tough loss. It wasn't competitive. I was pissed off. I was going for the Chiefs, but I mean, hey, you win some, you lose some. They already made history already. As the only team in history to go back to back 3 times to the Super Bowl. They didn't complete the full history, but it's definitely a learning curve. And like with anything in life, you just look at this and hopefully bounce back. That's just the reality of the situation. But I do want to say, shout out to the Eagles, shout out to Jalen Hurts, shout out to Saquon and the whole Eagles franchise. I think they put together a phenomenal team. The defensive end of the ball and as well as the offensive end of the ball. They've been building that team for a while. So from a fan perspective and an objective point of stance, I'm happy that they built that team through the draft and to see the work that they put in and getting a Super Bowl, especially for Jalen and Saquon, knowing their journeys and stuff like that was, I was very happy to see, especially Jalen getting the Super Bowl MVP, knowing like I said, knowing where his background and how he was, his underdog story. Saquon coming from my Giants, which is very bittersweet, to the Eagles and winning a Super Bowl. I was mad at that, but at the same time, Saquon is a hell of a talent. So glad he was able to get that ring,
Yeah,
even
dude,
though
you bring up the Jalen Hurts piece of the puzzle. There was so many critics and so
yeah,
many people that said that he wasn't the quarterback that would bring them to the promised land or win it. And right, wasn't he benched too in Oklahoma? Like there
yeah.
was so much up against him. So like
No,
I
he was
agree.
benched. He was benched in Alabama, and
Oh,
then
Alabama.
he transferred to Oklahoma, and he was even benched. He wasn't even starting when he got to the Eagles until they finally gave him the starting position, and from there they started winning. It was like people think like, oh, winning's supposed to come overnight. Winning's a gradual thing. So
Mm-hmm.
he came in, they were winning games. Maybe they were, 2-11, but then I think they ended up his first start like 9-8 or something like that. And then they just consistently kept on building and building and building. And the past 3 years, if you really think about it, he's been to two Super Bowls and
Mm-hmm.
he's 1-1. So, like I said, you gotta tip your hat off to that journey. You know what I mean? Obviously, like I said, winning doesn't come overnight. So the fact that he was able to overcome those obstacles and actually win one, you gotta respect it. You definitely gotta respect it.
You got to
Um,
respect Nick Sirianni too. Everybody was saying that he's
exactly.
not the right head coach. Like he's not motivating his guys. Like because they remember like what was it, week 14 or maybe it was week 13. They started to fall off. They lost like 2 or 3 games in a row. You were like,
Yeah.
what's going on with these Eagles? Blah blah. Blah. And then they got into the playoff. They put the hammer down on every single person.
Every single
Right?
team. Every single team.
NFC Championship and Super Bowl. They scored like over 90 points.
Yeah, they were. They. I said at the beginning too. Like the Eagles needed to play their best game. Just because you're the best team or one of the best teams doesn't mean you go into the Super Bowl and think, all right, start slagging off. Like they came in, like I always say too, the saying I always say, they put their foot on the neck and they had it there the whole
Mm-hmm.
time. Just because you up, you don't stop. So yeah. Pertaining to the
Yeah, the
halftime show,
aggression from the Chiefs side of the coin was not good at all.
not
I
good.
don't know.
Terrible
I don't
game.
know.
Terrible game. Terrible game. Terrible game. But the halftime show for me was where I felt I won because
Yeah, because you're a Kendrick
I,
man. You love Kendrick.
yeah. Because the Chiefs were not winning, so yeah, I'm a big fan of Kendrick. He's my favorite artist. I listen to him daily. Just like you mentioned, a lot of the people didn't really understand his messaging and what he was trying to communicate in the halftime show. I got all of it because, like I said, I listen to him on a daily basis, so I know his music. I know how he goes about things. I thought it was a phenomenal halftime show due to the storytelling that he was
Yeah, me
getting
too.
to behind certain messages. The whole Uncle Sam thing, and just his attention to detail and his performing skills, and just
I just think that people are always going to be like, oh, like
yeah,
it was a rapper, like he didn't put on the same show. Like he definitely did. He put on a show. He
yeah.
had a
So
message. There was a reason behind all of it. I think it's so
exactly.
funny with the Serena Williams stuff and
Oh, the
her
Kurt
dancing
walking, yeah.
off to the side, crip walking and stuff. Like Ayana and I were laughing about that too. But the message was real and you could feel it, right? Like even if he was singing or if he was rapping, like you knew what he was trying to get across. So
Yeah, I mean, that I just thought it was a phenomenal halftime show. Especially because he's been the biggest artist of 2024. And he's come out, and I think this is like a new revitalized Kendrick that we've never really seen before. So it's just good to see. Obviously there's been other halftime shows that were good, but this has very much been a solid, great performance by Kendrick, and I think he deserves it. Prior to the week of the Super Bowl, he actually won 5 Grammys, so
that's true.
he's on a hot streak. So shout out to Kendrick. Shout out to the Eagles. The Chiefs. You gotta do better. You gotta do better. Um,
100.
sticking sticking on the topic of halftime shows. Getting into our next segment of the show. Chill and ask. Um, what is the greatest halftime show of all time? Halftime, home team. Let us know what you
Yes,
guys
please
think.
tell us. Chaz,
But
what is
Dougie,
yours? CJ, tell me a little more about what
uh,
your favorite
th-
halftime show
th-
was.
there's been obviously you got to put Kendrick in there for right now. And it's only been recent, but I think the Usher one last year was pretty good. There was the one with the weekend was pretty good. Bruno Mars had a solid one too. Um, I don't know. I mean, they just
Bro, the one that always comes to mind is Dr. Dre when he brought out like
I
freaking
was just I was
Beyonce, Snoop Dogg,
well,
Usher. Like he had like mad people come out.
yeah, he brought out Mary J. Blige. It wasn't Beyonce. It was Mary J. Blige that he came out with. But he brought out so many people at that halftime. I think that might be the greatest halftime of all time because the amount of people he brought out. I think in his own way, he told a story of how his career about his career. And just being in LA. I think maybe that might be the greatest halftime show of all time.
Or Prince when Prince came out and did it. It was
Yeah,
what
oh Prince.
that was like early 2010s maybe. It might have even been a little bit
Yeah, maybe in the
2009
2000s.
maybe.
Yeah, 2000s. Yeah,
But that
I
was a
think.
great show. Great show.
Yeah, I mean, an underrated one might be Katy Perry. Not gonna lie to
True.
you,
True.
but I would say if I had to,
Most embarrassing one though is definitely Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson, where he pulls out and she was
yeah,
exposed,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
that lasted for weeks on end, and you still know it now.
yeah, yeah, that's definitely the worst one. But yeah, I think everybody has their own opinions on which one is the best. I wasn't really a fan of the Rihanna one, to be honest. That happened in 2023. But I think Dr. Dre. I think that might have been the best one because it was in LA. I believe, and home team. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the LA. That's when the LA Rams won,
Yeah.
if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. So it was just a kind of the stars aligning. LA team, and you have a LA artist hosting the Super Bowl. So I think, and he did a phenomenal job with that. So
Well,
I'll
that's why
probably,
everybody was like, "Why didn't Lil Wayne do this year?" Because it was like in New Orleans, and like they had so many people that they brought in from New Orleans doing all these different like those bands and stuff in the beginning of that,
yeah,
like and
yeah,
everything. Like that was all from a couple of different schools right there in New Orleans and everything. That's why everybody was like, "Why didn't he get it?" But honestly, Kendrick did such a good job. So like,
yeah. I feel like yes, you would love for a hometown person to do it, but at the same time, like it's also a matter of who's the most relevant at that time. You know
mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like, and what makes sense. Usher got it in Vegas was because he was doing a residency in Vegas. It just makes sense. Certain things just make sense, and that's what they're trying to go with the Super Bowl halftime. And for me personally, hip hop has never really been in the Super Bowl like that. You know what I mean? So to see now that we have hip hop being represented in the Super Bowl, I think it's a win for the hip hop community. So I think we should look at the bigger picture and be like, all right, Wayne wasn't here, but Kendrick was, and he's part of hip hop, and I think we should tip our hats off to that, being that hip hop is represented in the Super Bowl.
100%. And then I had another chill and ask question as well for you. What was
Gotcha.
the
So,
best commercial you saw? Because this year I felt like the
oh,
commercials weren't that great. And one thing that Ayana pointed out to me was every other commercial felt like it was a Fox commercial. Like it
really?
felt like there was so many Fox like sports or Fox network commercials. But one that comes to mind for me, and then while you're thinking about yours, is the Seal. Did you see that one when Seal?
I think that
That
one
one
was
was
funny.
mad funny.
Funny
I
as
was like,
fuck.
oh
Yeah,
my god, that's hilarious.
I don't. I think it might be that one because I know there was one or two that I was like, "This is pretty hilarious." But the seal one was pretty funny. I got a kick out of that one. I
But there
probably
was
have to agree
nothing
with you.
else that like stood out. Like there wasn't really a good Budweiser one like you've seen in the
Yeah,
past with like the Clydesdales and everything. Like there wasn't that many good commercials. So
they had a baby one, like, when the Super Bowl halftime was coming, they had like a
yeah,
baby one, and I don't think that was like a great ad or whatever, but I just found it funny because like they've never done that before, so maybe like it was like, oh, you really don't want to miss this performance and stuff like that, and so here's like a little like potty break, that's what they called it.
yes, the potty
uh
break that was funny.
the, yeah, the seal one is funny though. I ain't gonna lie. That one was that. I'll probably agree with you on that. That's probably
But
the
like
great. The
with you being in the space like with media and buying,
Yeah,
like you can tell that they didn't really do a good job with the portfolio that they were supposed to kind of put together, right? Like the marketing wasn't that great.
yeah. I just feel like there was no like really significant advertisers really advertising like their products or whatever the case may be. And it's kind of crazy because being in media, I really don't know. None of my really clients were doing any like Super Bowl ads or whatever the case may be. So it was very like weird, and maybe I didn't peep this too. Jan talking about it just being like a Fox kind of heavy ad base, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I didn't
But
pick it up until she was like every other commercial is like a Fox commercial. And I was like, "Well, we're on Fox Network," but she was like, "No, it's like they only spent money on that." And I'm like, "Hmm. Well,
hmm,
like the Super Bowl is like a platform where organizations,
everybody's
companies like try to push their
ads up, yeah,
products, like their products, right? Like they're always trying to get something out there." So I was a little bit like confused on the whole breakdown of it. It just didn't feel like it was like used as the platform that they wanted to, the same way as it has in the past to advertise for things.
yeah.
Maybe that's just me, but we'll see.
No, I mean, like you make a good point. Super Bowl is a time where everybody's trying to get on the air for, like, whether they're pushing a new product or just trying to get people to buy their existing products or whatever. And quite frankly, I think the Super Bowl commercials like recently haven't really been that good anyway. To be honest, like, they've been very like subpar and stuff
Yeah,
like that. So
lackluster.
yeah, very half thought. So, audience, two chilling ass questions. What was your thoughts on the greatest halftime show of all time?
100.
And also, what's the greatest? What did you think the best ad was for this Super Bowl? As well as maybe you could just throw out another commercial that you thought was funny in previous Super Bowls as well. So definitely want to hear your feedback regarding those two questions.
Yeah, drop it in the
Um,
in the chat at the bottom. Throw us a comment on the channel.
yeah. The NBA is at the midpoint of the season. The All Star game is today. With all that being said, and there's been a lot of trade frenzies. I don't even want to. The trade frenzies have been crazy. What do you think about the trades? We'll get into the All Star game after, but I want to talk about the trades too. What did you think about the biggest one, the AD and Luca trade?
Dude, first off, it's kind of crazy that we're at the halfway point of the NBA season. Like, it felt like
Yeah,
the first half of the NBA season was quiet. Like, there wasn't a
yeah,
lot of crazy stuff going on. And then all of a sudden, like you said, trade frenzy out the wazoo. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, everybody, all these stars are moving to all these different places. Like, the Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis trade, I think, like, it makes sense maybe AD like 5 years ago, not now. Like AD
hmm
when he like I feel like AD is still in his prime, but he's always like an injury prone person. Like he just went to the Dallas and now he's injured again. Like and he's
yeah,
not on the floor. Like he that to me in comparison to the Lakers getting one of the best players in the NBA right now and potentially one of the best players going forward because he's only 25 years old, Luca. Like everybody forgets how young this dude is. Like he's dumb young in the world of NBA, right? Like especially if he's able to do some of the things that LeBron has done, and now he gets to learn from him around the longevity and like how he eats and all his diet and workouts and all that, like to get his body into a shape where it can, go for longer periods of time, and it doesn't seem like he's like winded and like beat like that. That was the thing last finals appearance for him. It felt like once Luca got to the end, like the last couple games there, he had nothing
he was
left in the
one.
tank. And it was like, okay, well, where did all this go? Like you were just the best player while we were in Dallas, and now we're back in Boston, and you've like disappeared, right? Like
Yeah,
that trade to me though is kind of diabolical in a way. Like it just like blew everything
definitely,
up. And like, why did it
definitely diabolical.
like what was the underlining like factors behind it? Because to me, I would never in my entire life, if I'm a general manager or I'm a front office of any team, am I ever going to get rid of Luka Doncic? Like never. You could have traded me everybody in under the sun, and I'm still not going to get rid of him. So something around that organization and what he did, he rubbed them the wrong way, or whatever the case may be. But they found a trade suitor. For some reason, it always seems like it's the Lakers that get what they want, right?
hmm
And then they dropped AD off at the Mavericks stadium, and then he didn't even make it one game, I think, without getting hurt. So it's like I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? Because I have a couple of other thoughts on the other trades, but the big one right now that we're talking about is this Doncic David trade.
Yeah, I mean, at first I didn't understand it. I didn't really understand what was the trade for. It kind of caught everybody by surprise, including myself. But I think since we had time to sit on the trade, I think the Lakers won. For the simple fact they got Luka Doncic, and he, like you said, he's 25 years old and he can ball. AD was having a great season. Obviously it's tough for him to leave, but he also just got injured again, and it was a non-contact injury as well. So we don't really know what the future holds for AD. So us getting rid of AD and kind of dodging that bullet, is definitely in the Lakers' favor. And having Luca, I mean, they played their first game together, him and Braun, and they just connect well. They kind of play the same game. Even though they're ball dominant, I think for a while, Braun has been wanting to play off ball. And they have Austin Reeves now, and he's hooping as well. The only thing that really got me with the trade is that we lost our interior defense, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just about gaining a big man now that could hopefully lock down
And
the
I thought
paint.
they had one. I thought they had Mark Williams is a good player. He's really good player from the Hornets, and then that whole thing like just shit the
Got
bed.
rescinded. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, the thing with that is that I was kind of sad that I love Don Connect, but again, getting Mark Williams would have been a nice addition to the team. But I guess moving forward, long term, it makes sense for Luca to be a Laker because now he's with Braun. He'll learn a lot from Braun. He's with JJ Redick, and I think JJ Redick has a good mind for the game. So a lot of gems are gonna be getting dropped on him, and he's just a star talent. And I think him being the future of the Lakers is where they kind of were leaning to in terms of long term, rather than looking at AD now. And quite frankly, we gotta. I don't want to sound any type of way, but AD did give us a chip, so it's not like we did all that for nothing. We got a chip with him, so that's something that needs to be can't go unnoticed as well. And he was just playing the best basketball in these past 2 years. It's just unfortunate that he fell again to injury.
No, I think AD is one of the best big men, probably in the last generation, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if he wasn't so injury prone, I think he could be one of those top 10 ever. It's just like
Yeah,
his body is just doesn't like it doesn't work for longevity. It just doesn't. But there are spurts where he's amazing and dominant and changes the whole game. And I think he will be great for the Mavericks. I think they need to figure out their big man situation now because like they have, I feel like too many. They have
yeah.
Lively, they have Gaffer, they have Davis now, but also maybe that'll finally let Davis kind of fold back into that power forward position where he's
That's another thing
better
too.
at. Like
Exactly.
that's where
Yeah.
his sweet spot is, right? He is a five, but he's better at the four. And that was what you saw with him and what was his name? Cousins when they were
Shit.
on
Yeah.
they were on the
The Pelicans. The
Pelicans
Pelicans.
together. It was like the Twin Towers, but it made it so that it was easier for Davis on his body, on the defensive side of the ball. You didn't have to do everything to protect the rim. Maybe that's the way that Dallas looks at it. And don't forget that they also have Kyrie Irving. So like they could
Yeah.
sneak up out of nowhere in the playoff
No.
and
Yeah.
do some dirty work. They are both champions. Remember that. They have done it. They have done it, and they've gotten over the mountain. Maybe both of them have gotten over the mountain with LeBron, but that doesn't mean that they're not champions. And they got Klay Thompson, who is also a champion.
Champion. Yeah.
There's some pedigree on that team. It's
And they
now
got PJ Washington. PJ
can you
Washington
just
is
make
coming in.
can you
He's
just
coming
make
into his
sure
own.
that yeah, you're right. PJ Washington as well is a very good player. So like that team, you make one or two quick moves here and after the All-Star break they get Davis back, they make a push. That could be a team you want to watch out for in the playoffs for sure. So
Yeah, for sure. So
the
any other trades?
the
Go ahead.
other
Go
trade
ahead.
I wanted to sorry, I just heard you
No, good. No,
get
no.
at
You
it.
were anxious about this. You've been.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the one I wanted to bring up that I think is a sleeper trade, but as much as everybody is going to say it's not a sleeper trade, it definitely is the Spurs getting De'Aaron Fox. The
Yes.
Spurs getting De'Aaron Fox changes the whole dynamic for Wemby, for the West, like all of that. Like that team is young. They got two stars. They got Chris Paul, who is the point god, right? Like he hasn't
Point
won
you
a
up.
chip, but he knows what to do to win, and he knows how to, and he knows the pedigree of being a great point guard, and can show De'Aaron Fox that. They got Stephon Castle. If you watched the dunk contest and some of the Rising Star
No.
game, oh my
Was it
God,
he?
that guy
Yeah.
was lighting it up. Lighting it
Gotcha.
up.
Okay.
He is a special talent. We saw him at UConn. We knew he was going to be special. That
Yes.
team is going to be very, very good for a long time. Once
Mhm.
they figure all of it out and they have all their cogs and gears working perfectly, dude, watch out for that team. All of a sudden, it'll be like Spurs, like with Tony Parker and Tim Duncan and
Tim
Miles
Duncan.
Jones.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that Spurs team is just going to climb the ladder like it's nothing. And there's some teams at the top there, like the Thunder, like the Nuggets, that are going to be tough teams to beat. But over the years, you have seen what Giannis has done to his body, right? Remember when Giannis came in and he was all like lanky
Skinny.
and skinny and like didn't have that like deep
So,
presence within the pocket, or like not in the
yeah.
pocket, but in like the paint
The
and
paint.
everything.
Yeah.
That's how Wemby's gonna put on some muscle, bro, and he's gonna be moving people around. And he's still leading the league in blocks. Like the kid is gonna be great. That trade I think was very sleeper.
Yeah,
Because I don't know if the Kings
the
want
Spurs
to
are gonna come because
go.
the Spurs definitely won that trade, getting the Aaron Fox, and it shifts the Aaron Fox to the two guard position because I feel like he's more of a two guard than a one. And CP3, like you said, he's a point guard, so he'll know how to maneuver and get De'Aaron Fox the ball and get Wemby the ball and just make them better players. Like you
Well, you
mentioned,
know,
Stephon.
he's in his part of the career where he just wants to win. Like he doesn't care where he's playing, if he's starting, if he's coming off the bench, whatever the case may be. Chris Paul just wants to help the team win. So
Yeah, he's in a great position for it. And on top of everything, they still have Pop. They still have Popovich, so they got Keldon Johnson. That's another player that is a solid player and a developing player. So I think the Spurs they tanked. Obviously, post Tim Duncan, but now they got Wemby and like you say, he's leading the league in blocks. He might win Defensive Player of the Year. So yeah, he's a phenomenon. He's literally an alien because he could shoot the ball, he could handle the ball. It's the league is
and
cooked.
he shoots and handles the ball better than how like Dirk Nowitzki did, or
Yeah,
like thinking big guy, or like Porzingis. Remember when Porzingis came out, they were like, "Oh, he's the
yeah,
unicorn. He's the unicorn." This
yeah,
guy is different though. Like
yeah.
he does
He's
everything right, and as long as he stays consistent, doesn't get hurt, and beefs up a little bit. Like if he beefs up a little bit, the league is in trouble. Big trouble.
well. I was watching a podcast and another podcast, and Jamal Crawford was saying that he was with Wemby and they were training, and he just was not even surprised about the talent. It was just more so on how he just wanted to be a better. He just wanted to win, like
Mm-hmm.
the basketball IQ. He said, "I don't care about getting the ball, not getting the ball, getting the block. I just want to win." So having that mindset coming at a young age into the NBA is very critical. And if once you have a player like that who just wants to win, they're very unselfish. It's kind of like when Tim Duncan came into the NBA. He just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to win. He didn't really care about what he did as a player. He just wanted to win. That's why he fit well in that franchise. And I think Wemby's going to be the same thing. So, um, yeah. Any other trades
I
that
do.
were
I have one more
good?
that I think is really sneaky because we both know we saw the Kings got Zach LaVine. We saw that the Raptors got Brandon Ingram, but the other
Well, the
sneaky
Kings.
trade.
Wait, before you go, the Kings also got Jonas Valanciunas, which I'm kind of keen on. I'm not keen, but kind of. I'm intrigued by that situation.
Yeah, I'm intrigued as well. I wanted him on the Knicks though. I wanted Valanciunas on the Knicks, and I think the Knicks could have made a move for him, and they didn't. And I was a little bit upset with that because we still haven't seen Mitch, and we have no idea what Mitch is going to do when he gets back, if
Yeah,
he ever gets back. I thought that guy would have made the
the
interior
difference
much different,
for
and
sure.
would have helped the Knicks. But hey, getting him on the Kings, I think the Kings could be a good team. I just don't know if they have enough to get over the hump. But the team that also won the trade deadline was the Cavaliers. They went and they traded Jordan Yang, they traded Karis LeVert to
For
Atlanta,
DeAndre Hunter.
DeAndre Hunter, who is awesome. I think that piece works perfectly for them. And I told Ayana like earlier in the season, I was like, oh, the Cavs, they're going to be because they were winning. They went like what 16-0 or 17-0,
Yeah,
and then they
yeah,
lost one. And I was like, oh, they're going to lose, and then they're going to start to lose like crazy. They had not. They still have won. Like, they only have 9 losses or 10 losses. It's like wild where we're at the halfway point. But they just made the move to get that guy, and he's one of the best perimeter defenders. And he's like a perfect 3 and D guy for them because they already have enough offense in waves with Garland and Mobley and obviously Spider Mitchell. But like, he's going to be that perfect fit that like, now that guy guards their best player on the other team, right? Every time. And he's going to be, as long as he's scoring maybe 6, 7, 8 points and he's locking up the other guy, Cavs are going to be a good team too. Really good.
yeah. Huh. I think the trade that we're all missing here, which is kind of like a whirlwind, is the Kuzma Middleton trade.
I was gonna bring that one up too, dude. I don't
That
know if that really like moves the needle for the Bucks, but like, hey, like it gets them the younger guy that we know can average 12,
he could
13.
hoop. Kuzma could hoop definitely. I just don't know trading Middleton was the best decision given that. Well, then again, like it's more like a loyalty thing, but I think getting a younger guy to help Giannis would work. But also, Kuzma plays the same position as Giannis, so I'm kind of intrigued to see how that kind of works and kind of how they
They're gonna
maneuver
shift
around
him to be a three
a
instead.
three, and then I guess have a big lineup with Giannis at the four. I think their
And
center is
Lopez
Brook
at the five.
Lopez. So they're gonna have a big lineup. So and I mean they got Dame too. So I mean Dame. I don't know. I think I mean like I said, I'm intrigued by the certain moves that were made around the league. Obviously the big one was the AD and Luka trade.
Yeah.
But overall, I just and shout out to Dennis Schroeder for being the ultimate trade pawn because he went from
Him
four
and PJ
different
Tucker went to like three different teams in like
in the
30,
matter
36 hours.
yeah in a matter of 24 hours. This guy Dennis Schroeder was he he was what you would call it bounced around the league.
And what about Jimmy
um,
Butler, dude? What about Jimmy Butler to the Warriors? How does that change
oh,
the dynamic for them?
I think Jimmy going to the. I mean, I don't know. Jimmy. He's kind of done this a lot. I think going to the Heat, you should know that that's Pat's team. Like that's nobody else's team besides Pat Riley's team. Uh, so you know him doing all of these like sitting down and stuff like that. It's like, come on, bro. Like, um,
I just thought I like respected him more. Like I just thought there would
yeah,
have been more from Jimmy as like a person and a player and like not do some of that shit like to burn a bridge right before, like cuz when he first came, he was like, "Oh, like me and D Wade, like we're the best,
yeah.
blah blah, like Heat Nation, like it runs through my veins, like this is where I was supposed to be." And you're like, all right, cool. Like, I appreciate the passion for the organization that you wanted to go to, but like, it's only been a few years, and now you're like, all right, I'm out of here. Like, especially with all the work that they had done every year in the playoffs, like they would slide in at the 8th seed or the 7th seed, and then now you're always in like the second round or the conference finals as like the lower seed. They always made a move. Like I don't know. I lost a little bit of respect for him with the way that he danced around the whole situation. To be honest,
Yeah, I get it. Like, when an organization isn't putting certain things around you, but I think that should have been like, I don't know, like, I don't really know what was communicated internally and stuff like that. But just going to the Heat, it's Pat's team. Like, that's Pat's team. That's known. D Wade went through it. LeBron went through it. Like, you should have known what you were getting yourself into. But him going to the Warriors, I mean, I don't know. That's something I need to see. I don't really know how he makes them better or anything like that. I mean, he does bring like toughness and 3 and D and all that stuff to the team, but he's also older. It's not like he's young, and you know what I'm saying. So he's also
that whole
older,
team is in like a weird space right
rebuilding
now
phase. Yeah, like
because
they're
it's like you got mad young guys, but then you got your older crew that like but they just won a championship, so it's like, could they still get to the top of the mountain? That was only 2022, right? Like,
yeah. Um, Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like they're in a weird space. They're trying to figure it out. Obviously, Clay leaving. Steph's getting older. And bringing in Jimmy. If you're looking long term, but you don't really know how much basketball Jimmy has left. He doesn't really get injured that much, but at the same time, he is older. So again, it's one of those things where all right, we gotta see how this plays out, and maybe they might maybe he might be the difference. I don't know. And also, like, you don't really know how him and Draymond's gonna get along.
mm-hmm.
That's
Yo,
always the
so talk to me about playoff predictions, right? So tell me the top five teams in the West and the top five teams in the East that you know are going to get to the playoffs. so that we can kind of start to figure out what the bracket looks like.
So I say top five in the West. It has to be the Thunder. Thunder are definitely up there. Oof, the West is kind of tough because you really don't know. I mean, I feel like the Nuggets are gonna be in there somewhere. Definitely. The Nuggets, the Thunder. Um, hmm. I don't know. There's a lot of sleeper teams too. The Rockets are looking good as well. They're good, looking good as a team. They're getting their push behind them. Uh, I'm always gonna put the Lakers up there. I feel like with any team, especially adding Luka, I think the Lakers might have a run. So I'm gonna say Lakers, not in the top two, but probably maybe like the 15. You know what I mean? I think that's safe to say. Being realistic, that's three in the West. Um, mm, Potentially, maybe the Kings might make a run. Maybe. I'm not really sold on them yet. I'm gonna leave it at those three for now. I don't really have. Maybe you might want to piggyback off of the teams in the West. But the East is looking stacked. I mean, you got the Celtics, you got the Knicks, you got the Cavs. That's the Bucks are always a contender. And I want to say for my fifth, I'm always gonna go with the Magic. To be honest, the Magic seem like a sleeper team, and honestly, now that on the West, I might have to go with the Spurs. I think the Spurs are going to be a dark horse, like you mentioned. Now getting De'Aaron Fox, I think they might be a dark horse. So, um, I don't really have a fit for the West, but I think those are my teams that are solidified for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that that's a good
What
list
about you?
to jump off the list on my end. From the West, I definitely say the Thunder. Obviously, they're the best team right now. The Nuggets will be there. You can never count out Joker in them. Um, I think Minnesota will still come back and make a run. They're
Mm.
not as good this year, but they're good in the playoffs. Like they like he knows what to do.
Oh, the Mavericks. The Mavericks.
And the Mavericks, yeah, I was gonna say the
The Maverick,
Mavericks.
yeah, the Mavericks, yeah, the Mavericks for sure. I think that'll round up the pod for me. But keep on
Yeah,
what you were saying.
the Mavericks, and then there's like this just like grouping of like a bunch of teams that could probably fall in to that like 4 or 5 spot where it's like the Lakers, the Spurs, the Rockets, the Clippers, like the
The
Kings,
Suns,
like
the
the
Suns.
Suns. Like there's just like I know that there's at least 2 teams at the top of the West that you know for sure, and then those like 3 through 5 could be just like a group of one that
It's
like the
tough.
wherever it lands, right? Like last year, it was like to the last day, the last game to predict seeding
Yeah,
and everything, right? So like
yeah,
that the West is strong across
yeah.
from 1 all the way down to maybe 10. There's like
Hmm.
maybe 4 or 5 teams that aren't as strong as what we thought they were going to be. On the East, obviously you got the Celtics, you got the Cavs, you got the Knicks, you got the Bucks. You can never count out the Bucks, even though they were bad in the beginning of the year. They're right back in it now, right? I think they're
Yeah.
the 4 or 5 seed, and
You
then
just never could count out Damon Giannis. Like it's Damon Giannis.
and now like you said, the Magic are going to get Bunkero back. They got Wagner back. Like they're going to start to win games again. They were winning games without them, and then they were very good in the beginning of the year when they had them. So I think they're going to be a good team.
Maybe the Raptors, them getting Ingram.
I don't know. I think
You
they're
don't
just too
know.
far. I think they're too far out of it to come
Got
back,
you.
right? I think they only have like maybe 19 wins at this point, which is like
Yeah, you probably just tank for now and then
too
probably come
too
back next year, next season.
too low of a like too heavy of a load to try to get back into play. Who else is in that little like is Atlanta in the mix there as well?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
Atlanta's in the potentially might be in the mix. The Pacers. What about the Pacers?
Oh yeah, the Pacers too.
Let's see.
Right now, the Pacers are
Um,
actually the 4th seed. We didn't even think about them, and the Pistons are right in there too.
Yeah, Cade is playing out of his mind. I ain't gonna lie to you. He's playing out of his mind right now. So we got. I mean, the Heat are in they're in the ninth. Um, yeah, I mean, I think we missed out the Pistons and the Pacers for sure.
Yeah, I think that those
Uh,
were the two teams we missed. Oh,
oh
and in the
wow, the
West, we forgot
Grizzlies.
about the Grizzlies, bro. We forgot about
The
them.
wow, the Grizzlies. I that yeah, we definitely missed out on the Grizzlies for sure. Yeah, that's a young team that's really gonna be up and coming too. I think if Josh stays um playing basketball, that team is very scary. They got a lot of talent there. For sure. Yeah, we definitely did not realize that the Grizzlies for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple that we missed. Even though I feel like the Grizzlies, to me, are actually like an East Coast team because I don't think of like Tennessee being West Coast, but it is what it is. What it is.
Yeah, yeah, it is what it is.
Right, and I
I
think
mean,
that they're trying. I think they're trying to expand too. So I don't know if they're going to bring a
the
team back to
Sonics.
Seattle or
I
what.
think they should. I think they should bring a team back to Seattle. I think Seattle
But I
has a
think that they
great
should do two teams in the West, two more teams in the West, and then you move the Grizzlies and the
Minnesota
Pelicans to
or
the
even Minnesota.
or Minnesota. Yeah, either one of those, and then now you bring in somebody from Seattle and you or a team into Seattle and then into Vegas because you know
Yeah,
Vegas is a good spot for. Look at what the sports world has done. Moving there now. You know, MLB is going to be there. Like baseball is going to be there shortly.
football's there.
Football is there. The NHL, like that team came out of
Yeah,
nowhere and won the whole Stanley Cup, and it was just a bunch of guys from all across different teams that they threw together into
the
one team.
WNBA, the WNBA is
WNBA, true.
so
Which
yeah. I mean,
before we move to the NBA All Star game, because I know that was like one of the hits that you brought up in the beginning of this segment. What was your thoughts on Kelsey Plum getting traded, like from the Aces
oh
to the
yeah,
Sparks,
she
dude?
yeah.
Was that like that was a little weird too? Like I wasn't ready for that at all.
Yeah, that kind of threw me off guard because I feel like Kelsey Plum, she was a critical piece in that championship run that they had. I don't know why trading her would be on the top of your mind, especially if you have like that core of Aja Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and I forget her name, the point guard Chelsea Gray on that team. It threw me off guard, but I guess now going to the Sparks, bringing that championship pedigree to the Sparks, you have Kelsey Plum, and you also have Cameron Brink, who but she got injured her rookie season, so she's gonna come back, and I'm excited to see her play as well. So, you know, that's just the nature of the game. I guess I don't really know why they did it.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
it was a
wondering if there was like an underlining issue with like
yeah,
either the
maybe or
contract or like
yeah, that's
something
what I
with
was gonna
their.
say. That's what I was gonna say. Maybe it was like money they wanted to clear up cap space, contract, and all that stuff. But it's very it's for Kelsey Plum. She did her thing in the with the Aces. It's not like she was there and they weren't winning. They won two back to back titles. They were gonna go for a three-peat, but obviously the Liberty stopped that. So it's not like she didn't really do for the team. It's probably maybe just a contract situation where they were kind of over budget and they needed to clear up cap space. So she was kind of like the sacrificial lamb, you could say. But
Yeah.
I think her going to the Sparks, it gives the Sparks veteran pedigree. And just I'm excited to see what that team is gonna be, given that now you have Cameron Brinks and Kelsey Plum on the same team. What about you? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just surprised. I was like, why would you get rid of like a core piece unless there was two reasons, right? Like there's either the contract piece where you didn't want to be over the tax ceiling, or there was like something going on there from a budgeting standpoint, or there was some underlining like behavioral thing that we didn't know and we didn't see behind the scenes where the team didn't mesh well. You know, if
Yeah,
you have a star and you have another star, and that main star, Aja, right, who's their best player, doesn't like that player anymore. usually the kick to the curb kind of thing is the easiest route for the team to make her feel better. I don't know. Could be speaking out my ass, but that happens a lot, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
we've seen it with multiple star pairings where things they do really well together, and then all of a sudden, hey, like we're kind of done with this thing, like we're moving on from this. So
yeah. I mean, I hope there's no. I hope. I want to say I hope it's a contract situation. You know what
yeah,
I
I hope
mean?
there's no
But
bad blood.
yeah. But on the topic of just basketball, the All Star break is here. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned the festivities that went on yesterday. I did not see the skills challenge, and I did not see the dunk contest. I just think it's getting boring and stuff like that. But what were your thoughts about the Rising Star Challenge and all these competitions?
Yeah, the dunk
Um,
contest was much better than it has been. I think they
okay,
still need to figure out the format a little bit and like
yeah,
to make it more exciting because a lot of the dunks are the same. But the skills challenge, which was really really cool, but very funny. I don't know if you like you saw this on Insta or like on TikTok, but
oh
I guess
CP3,
Yeah, CP3 and Wemby like didn't do the shot, right? They did all the other like skills, like the passing skills, the bounce pass, all that, and then the last layup, but they didn't do anything with the shot. They just both like threw it at it and said whatever it is, it is. And then they went and they did all the passes and they got their time from that. I was like, that's a cool like strategy, but like weird to me, like that you wouldn't at least
yeah,
go
the
for the
shot.
shot. But I thought that was a little different. And then I don't know. I think the Rising Stars is always exciting because it's like all these young guys and they're playing, they're having a good time, and it always feels a bit different than the All Star game because I feel like the All Star game for every year it's just like this like sluggish like kind of game until
Pick up
yeah
game.
until it kind of gets like later and they're like oh like let's go like the one All Star game that I really liked when I mean Braun has been the captain like every year, but it was like they had to score like 191 points or whatever it was, and it was like all that money would then go to charity and everything. It felt like they were like all in on wanting to do that and like actually playing. I think it was Giannis's team versus Braun's team. It might have been a couple of
I
years
think it was
ago.
20. I think it was 2018 when they first instilled like the whole team situation where it was
Yeah,
like Team Braun and Team Giannis or whatever the captain was. And Braun got the Finals MVP, and I think he hit the game winning shot to seal the
yeah. It
deal.
just felt like that structure or format was like way better. Like the team, like the guys wanted to play. Um, it seems like now it's like very lackadaisical, like a pickup game, like you said. But nobody wants to get hurt. That's the whole point of it. Is like nobody wants to get hurt and then ruin the back half of the season, which is to me, I feel like is more crucial
The
game
critical point, yeah, the critical time of the year.
to
I
make
think
an
for me
impact.
the All Star game, they keep revitalizing the format, and I just think like they just need to get a format that just needs to stick. I thought the whole breaking it up between team captains was fine. And playing for a charity was good. Um, but now it's just like they did it like I think it was like 2 years ago. They had like the point system. I just think like you should just hit like you said like a certain point, whatever that point might be, and then from there, whoever wins wins. It's kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
pickup game, but now you're playing for charity, so I think that will bring more, yeah, more competition out and stuff like that. And I think that's what people really want: competition to come out and creativity. Um, what did you think about the snubs that happened for the All Stars? I know Trey Young got snubbed at first, but now he's on it because I believe he's replacing
I think he's
Bron.
replacing Giannis.
Yeah, he's replacing Giannis. So I think that was a big one because he's kind of always gotten snubbed, and
They
he's
called it
averaging.
trade now. Not
Yeah,
even snubbed. It's just trade
yeah, because
because every year he gets snubbed. He
he's
never
always averaging a double double. You know what I mean? So I
and it's
think
usually like the high end of the assists. Like it's like 15, 16 assists he's averaging. and 10, 12, 13, 15 points. Like he's not a he's an all-star like that guy, and he never gets the appreciation for it. And the only reason why he is now is because somebody got hurt.
Exactly. So definitely him being snubbed is a problem. I was happy to see that Cat and Brunson are in the
Starters,
All
baby.
Star game,
That's what I'm talking
starters.
about.
I think they deserved it. Cat is playing out of his mind.
Yeah,
He
that was an
definitely
A+ trade for the Knicks, right? Or no? What do you think?
no, absolutely. I mean, I think he gives the Knicks that one player that could just get a bucket. You know what I mean? And especially if you have Brunson, both of them could get a bucket. But I think I've always said this. The Knicks always needed another player that can help share the load, and now Cat and Brunson could help, and they have a great team in Mikel and OG and all these other players. So I think shout out to the Knicks for having two All Stars. It's been a while. So they made the team. I'm not sure who else got snubbed. I think Jalen Brown might have gotten snubbed
Mm-hmm.
too. He got snubbed. Every year somebody's gonna get snubbed. To be honest, some
That's a
teams
kick
some
in the
snub.
shins, though, for him because now you get snubbed from the Olympics
No,
and you get
and
snubbed from the All Star game, and my
he
man's the
might he
Finals MVP.
he might take that team to the finals again and win it again and be like, yo, listen, I'm winning chips and I'm winning
I'm
finals
winning
MVPs.
chips. I'm winning MVPs. Like, dude, that team is gonna
And
be good again. It's just wild. It's wild how good they're gonna
they,
be.
they're just like I've always said this, like when you have a great franchise, like it doesn't like look at like swinging it back to the Super Bowl. Saquon was on the Giants; they didn't know what to do with him. Now he goes to the Eagles and they win a championship. It's just
Mm-hmm.
how when you go to a great organization, they just know what to do and the structure around you to win. So the Celtics, they're just that. They're a good round organization. They know they have 18 championships, so they know
Mm-hmm.
what it takes to win. So it's just a matter of putting the pieces out there, and they have the pieces.
And
They
they
have
sneakily just went and signed Torian Craig too, or whatever, on the
yeah,
side. It's like,
it's
oh my gosh.
they just keep adding pieces, and that's what teams that are good. They just add pieces and add pieces. They adapt. Some people leave, some people come back. It's like the Nuggets too. They got Westbrook, and Westbrook's career is being revitalized. Not to say that it was never not good, but now he's having a resurgence because him and Jokic in the fast break zone is crazy.
Yeah, man, 100%. Like, I also feel like he was popping around in different places in LA. Like, he was a Laker, then he's a Clipper, and like he never really fit into any of the molds for them, and blah blah. And this is where he needed to be, right on the back half of his career. He needs to just be aggressive Russ and like get in the game and drive downhill and pass the ball where he needs to pass the ball and just get them points. Like he's a triple double like machine, that guy.
Machine,
Like,
yeah,
and he's an MVP. Like, he's done what he needed to do. He's just never won a chip, and there's a opportunity for him to get it and grab it with the Nuggets. And that they're different when
yeah,
they get into the
yeah.
playoffs. That team is different. So
Russ has the Nuggets running like Showtime, for sure. Which speaking about Showtime, the Oscars are coming up March 1st.
mm-hmm.
They hot and heavy. I've been very keen on watching a lot of these movies. And there's a lot of movies. Baby Girls up for Oscar, The Brutalist. All these various different movies are going for the Oscars. My overall take on the Oscars is I want uh the Bob Dylan movie. The Bob Dylan movie,
Mm-hmm.
Complete Unknown, is a great movie. I think Timothy Chalamet is a great actor. His range is crazy. He was in Dune 2. Oh, he's in the Dune series. He's played Willy Wonka. He's played Bob Dylan in Complete Unknown. I just think he's having a
He
crazy
sneakily
run.
is just dating and with Kylie Jenner as
Yeah,
well.
and that's like, yeah, he's just casually dating Kylie Jenner. And he's a star for sure. I think I hope he gets the a Oscar this year. I think that was my favorite movie of 2024 for sure. The Brutalist has Adrian Brody. I think Adrian Brody is a good actor as well. He was in Showtime, the Lakers
Mhm.
series. He played Pat Riley. He was in Peaky Blinders. He was in Succession as well. So he's had a list of shows and movies that he's been in. So the Oscars is definitely going to be stacked this year. Um, somebody that I really want to win Best Female Actress is Mickey Madison. Her role in Honora was phenomenal. I think she deserves a Oscar for that. If she doesn't win, I think Felicity Jones and The Brutalist should win as well. So it's definitely going to be a jam-packed Oscars. I'm excited. So hopefully
Did
they do
did
they
the
do it
Wicked?
right. The Wicked is up for Oscar as well. I think best uh production or something like that, or cinematography or something along those lines.
Something, yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking too.
yeah. This is a sidebar too. How do you feel about remakes, like plays on Broadway being like live action in movies? Like, how do you feel about the like that transition? Because I know
I think
The
that
Lion
they just
King
have to
too.
do a good job with it. Like they just gotta make sure that like it fully forms from the play to the movie the right ways. Like there's some that just like don't do that right, and then it like feels like you're tarnishing
For
like the you know the rep of like that previous like play, right? Like
yeah,
I
I
don't really like
I
that.
I think Wicked did a great job of what you call it executing that rep that they had, the storyline and all that stuff to a T. It was a great movie. I enjoyed it. I took the me and the family went to go see that, so that was a great watch. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I hope it
you
was.
saw it with your niece. Did she like it?
Yeah, she loved it. She's into the theatrics.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say you told me that she really likes plays and stuff like that. So
yeah, so she's a big she's big into that. So she enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was a I think it mirrored the play very well. So uh, hopefully it does win an Oscar. I think Ariana Grande and I
I
forgot
forget
the
her name.
Cynthia
Yep.
something, Cynthia or starts with a O. Yeah, she did a phenomenal job as well as being the Wicked Witch from the West. So yeah, the live actions that definitely they have to uphold the rep like you mentioned of the play and not tarnish it.
Hmm.
But yeah, this also is going to be stacked in terms of the content that's been that was aired last year. I'm excited for it as well. I think the biggest thing too is along with Timothy being he's probably going to take away a lot of these awards was the cinematography and a lot of these movies a lot of these movies like Nosferatu had great cinematography. This the Nickel Boy had a great cinematography as well. Just they did it from like the first perspective, like as if
Hmm.
like you could see it from the main character's eyes. I thought that was a great angle to produce a movie that was kind of different. So, in terms of like just the cinematography in a lot of these movies was very great. The Brutalist also had great cinematography as well, so I'm excited. I'm a big movie head, so
Yeah, there's a lot of great movies from this past year that I'm excited to see where they land from an award standpoint. Ayana and I have been watching Bones, which they won an Emmy on multiple
really,
seasons as well. Yeah, I don't know if you watch it, but like you should definitely get into it. It's one of my favorite shows, and we're like on like season 4 ish, and it just keeps getting better. Like it,
better.
I was. At first, it was kind of like lackadaisical. It took a while to get like a little bit to get into it, like maybe two or
Like,
three episodes, and now it's just like bang, 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 bang. It's
now
all
you're
about
hooked.
these murders and like all this crazy stuff, and she's like analyzing bodies, and she knows like how they were murdered by their
Oh,
bones.
that was based on a book.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, got you. Okay, I'll look
It's
into that.
such a good show. It's on
You
Hulu.
know,
You should definitely watch it.
what else is a good show? Landman.
Oh yes, yeah.
Landman is a great show. I binged that in one day. It's on Paramount. That's a great show. I got hooked. I was on that. My
Yeah, I
mom was
heard
watching it.
really good
Yeah,
reviews for it.
he's a Billy Bob Thornton is his role in there is funny. He it's a comical role that he plays. But yeah, if that's another show you should definitely watch. But the show that we watched and we didn't get a chance to speak about it was The Penguin.
Yes, yes. Dude,
How
I really did like it. I think they did a really good job with the show. There was like so many like deeper like connections to like the Batman series. Like if you ever read any of the comics or like knew about
Yep.
Penguin prior and like what his attitude was, who he was as an individual, like they hit on that and I felt really good about watching that show and I was like, wow, this is like really, really, really good. Like I was not thinking that they were gonna get the storyline the way that they did, and he killed it. Colin
Colin
Farrell
Farrell.
killed
Co-
it, bro.
like the way he portrays the Penguin is probably the best Penguin. Like you know how we talk about like Heath Ledger Joker,
Mm-hmm.
like this is the Penguin. Like when you think of the Penguin, that's all you're gonna be thinking about is Colin Farrell. Like
Yeah,
he really played the Penguin to the T. And throughout the
but he's
Penguin,
not
it
up
was
against anybody that is like. I mean, Danny DeVito was a great Penguin, but like wasn't this Penguin, right? And who else? Who else
yeah.
played Penguin? Like I don't even really remember.
Well, that's another thing too. Who really played the Penguin? But I think moving forward, this really set the bar for
Mm-hmm.
the Penguin. And the Penguin, the show, it got such great reviews that they didn't even want to do a season two. Now they're gonna do a season two
Mm-hmm.
because it's like you got such great reviews from it. What was your thoughts on the show? Like, just generally speaking.
No, my thoughts were the show was really, really cool. There was like a lot
Yeah,
of it like around him and like his experience and like what he's done like with the mob and like knowing all the ins and outs of like, you know, the Falcons and all that. Like it was just crazy how baked into a lot of the stuff he was and like what he knew and what others didn't know and the show itself was really, really cool. Like the action scenes were awesome. You know, the car chases were really, really awesome. Him bringing that kid in with him and like kind of like mentoring him a little bit and like the
yeah.
driver. I don't what he was in another like show as well. That kid that I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a really good show too. Um, but the whole thing was like awesome. What was your thoughts on the show?
I thought it was a great series. I think they nailed everything. Like I mentioned before, the acting was phenomenal. Just being very spot on to what the comics are. Everybody, the main along with Colin Farrell. I'm not sure the actress who plays Sophia Falcone, but she does a great job portraying her. And you would they from a the at the beginning of the show, it's like, oh, maybe the Penguin is the protagonist because everything is just happening, but really and truly, he's the main antagonist in that show.
Mm-hmm.
Sophia Falcone, just her story arc and where she's come from and how she is trying to build a name for herself outside of the family. It's really remarkable. I'm not gonna lie to you. That I love that show. I'm excited for season two.
Definitely a great show. I think HBO or Max, sorry, they always do really good by their shows. Like they always invest a lot of like time and energy into it. Like
Yeah,
I loved Titans. Like I thought they could have kept going with Titans. Titans was such a good show too. and
Uh-huh.
they play the thing with what Max does well over other superhero like movies like Marvel and things like that is they really stick to the comic. They really stick to that character and who that person is from across their whole timeline, like what they've done, how they become that individual. Like they did it with Penguin. I think they did it well with Titans. They've done it well with like Justice League. Like there was a lot of good stuff around DC that I'm excited about.
Yeah, for sure. Well, going into our last segment of the show, but before I get into that, I just want to bring up one topic. Just not really like a topic, but generally speaking, what are exactly are your thoughts on Valentine's Day? Like, what is your thoughts on Valentine's Day? I know how do you and Jan celebrate Valentine's Day? Now it's a spin on things because you got the baby and stuff like that. So, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I think Valentine's Day is like conceptually the actual holiday is just like a way for businesses to make money and like and for people to spend money, but like the actual thought of it is what do you do as a tradition with your partner, with your significant other that continues to bring you guys closer together and build your relationship further and feel like a stronger unit. And Jan and I, every year, we just get Chinese food and hang out and watch movies and just like bullshit and talk. And like, we don't go out to dinner. We don't dress up all fancy. We don't get each other flowers. Like, we don't get chocolates. Like, it's none of that. It's all about like us and our partnership and continuing to grow together and thinking about each other and the little nuances of like what our favorite order is, like what Chinese food we want to have, and like what movies we want to watch. Like those are all like the meet cute
Mm-hmm.
things, like the little tiny cute things that we do. But like
Yeah, yeah,
the whole holiday itself is to just you know
to
be
money grab.
a money grab, but like the soul part of it or like the caring part of it is about continuing to grow with your partner and feel good about it. And it's so different now with a child, right? Like than it is pre-child. Like pre-child we could just do whatever we wanted, maybe have a few drinks, have a little smoke here and there, enjoy ourselves. Now we got a child, now we're just eating Chinese food and watching movies and just hanging out. So it's a little
Yeah.
different, but hey, like it is what it is. But it's definitely a good holiday to just continue to, respect each other and feel good about each other and like do the little things. Like it doesn't have to
The
be
little things
extravagant,
matter.
right?
Yeah, the little things matter for sure.
What about you? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I mean, I got like I think Valentine's Day is probably better for the from an economical standpoint, like we just mentioned, because everybody's buying flowers, chocolates, cards, all that stuff, going out, making plans. I just think personally, if you have a strong foundation in your relationship, Valentine's Day is just a normal day for you to show your love to your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my whole thing. Yeah, maybe you could, but for me, I'm not big on the whole. I don't mind doing it, but at the same time, like I'm also, I don't mind sitting at the crib watching a movie and just getting food, like or maybe going out to like a small diner or some shit like that. It doesn't have to be like let's go to Nobu or whatever the case may be. So I think, like you mentioned, from the soul standpoint of it, like just knowing that you love your significant other. But overall, I just think it's it's better for the economy. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie
it's
to
just
you.
a money
Like,
grab. Honestly,
yeah,
it's like why it's not a holiday that's like any other holiday like Thanksgiving or
or
Christmas or
Christmas,
like where it's like
maybe
very
like
family.
Halloween.
Even Halloween is very like family oriented, right? Like this is more couple oriented with a side of cash
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing,
yeah. I think if you have if you and your partner, I guess to mention, if you and your partner have a great foundation, like like you and Jan do, it's not gonna be about going out and going to the most expensive restaurants. Maybe let's say like every like maybe 5 years you guys want to do that, but you should be doing that on like a regular night out for your anniversary or something like
Hmm.
that. You know what I mean? Um, But yeah, I just wanted your quick thoughts on that because Valentine's Day just happened, so I figure we just briefly
Yeah, I
talk
mean,
about that.
the other thing with Valentine's Day that's a little weird is it's like 2 weeks before our anniversary, so we don't want to go
That's also true.
like wild with it because then we're gonna try and do something for our anniversary as well. And this year coming up, we've been married 4 years and we will be together 11. So like this anniversary is definitely important. Um,
With the
I
new
don't know
with Dylan as
with
well.
Dylan as well. Yep, and she'll be folded into the mix here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, last segment, elevated advice,
Elevated advice.
sponsored by CoStar. CoStar,
Yep.
where you at with the contract? We need that stat. We need that.
I'll give you my John Hancock real quickly, and you can sponsor us going forward.
Dougie, Dougie, what's your elevated advice for
My elevated
the
advice for
session?
today says, "Good afternoon, Doug. It's Sunday, February 16th. Today at a glance, here is your elevated advice. Validate yourself for the strengths you've already cultivated." I think that's deep. That's really deep. I think self validation and just like understanding and being confident in yourself is a huge proponent of you continuing to have, at the top of the show we were talking about mental health, like having a positive outlook on your mental health and a positive outlook on yourself. So like
Hmm.
being the your own champion in a way of validating that you are good, for like good for yourself, doing the things that you want to do for yourself to stay positive, continuing to be healthy and growing in the right ways. Like all of that validation needs to come from you first, right? Before it can come from others. And it stems from being confident in yourself and looking at things through a lens of continued growth. And what we're trying to do here in this platform, right? Elevate each other, enjoy our time, and bring really good positive vibes and energy. Like that's what I get from that advice. So what about you? What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think that's
Validating your
very.
strengths.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. Yeah, just understanding that we all bring unique gifts to this world, and just understanding that yeah, you may have weaknesses, but use your strengths as well. Don't hone in on, oh, I need to build on my weaknesses. That's you always want to work on your weaknesses, but you also want to maintain your strengths and know where you are better at things. For me personally, that's something that I've always been good at. Like I know, all right, I may be good at this, so maybe I'll take this on, and then I'm not good at that. So you could probably do that. And it's just, something that could carry on when you're playing sports, when you're developing a business. This between us, it's just understanding what you can do and what you can't do, and not getting too much on your plate and stuff like that. So that's a great one for sure. Um, Mine is free your mind. Hold up, free your mind, and your heart will follow. I think that it kind of also kind of piggybacks off of what your elevator advice was. Just kind of going with what and never being too high, too never being too high on the fact that you're doing too much and you're running out of, always kind of take time for yourself, pause, understand that you can only control certain things. And from there, like you mentioned, like your heart will follow. So I think that's a great advice. I ain't gonna lie to you. What about you? What you think about that?
Yeah, I think there's always this proponent around being open and like thinking openly and like not being
Yeah,
closed off to new experiences and not being closed off to new heights. Like those are ways where if you're opening your mind and you're excited about doing something, you also open areas of your heart that might have been closed
yeah,
off on some different things, or had a bit of an attachment to something else. So Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that that advice is keen on drilling into the being open part, because if you're
Hmm.
open to new experience, you're open to new things, then there's an opportunity to, open areas and find new areas that you might love, or find new things that you might love, because you're not just pushing it off and being like, all right, I'm closed off on that. Like, I'm open to try and see and look at new things from different angles. So I think both of our elevated advices today were really, really
Solid,
good.
bro. Co-stars
Hit
hitting
hit co-star again and say, hey, yo, like, where are you at? You
with
can
the contract guy.
you can absolutely come through with the contract, and we'll sign on that. But like, I agree with both of the advices, and it's just all about being like positive and bringing confidence in yourself and being open to new experiences, and that's what we're doing here, right? Like, having this platform where we're open, we're having good conversation, we're
Conversation.
vibing, and
But
sometimes things come together, other times you have to work through them, and that's where it is, right?
yeah, I mean, life's a roller coaster, like you said. But if you don't enjoy the throes of it and understanding that new experiences are gonna come, being open to them, and then but with these new experiences, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses and stuff like that. That's just a whole part of life. You know what I'm saying? So with all that being said, that that is the end of the show. Doug, it's always a pleasure talking with you. We are on YouTube,
Yes, we are.
6 p.m., 3 p.m. PT time, Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Guys, it's always a pleasure talking with you as well. Home team, we love you. Dougie, I'll catch you on the flip side, bro. Deuces.
DJ, thank you, man. Great chatting with you as always. Everybody else, we'll see you on the flip side.